this pretty nice vehicle you're driving.
Oh, my Crosstrek, yeah. I
If
love
you have
it.
small
Great car,
people
very
dropping around the
reliable.
house,
We are on the air.
We're gonna read a finding.
put it down to the
Okay.
floor, it's good, it's sturdy.
Just want to see a fire starter.
Okay.
I haven't tried them.
Okay, welcome to the June 21st meeting of the Town of Kennebunkport Planning Board. This is a hybrid meeting with Zoom. If you wish to log in, you can get the information off the town website. First off, attendance. Scott is missing tonight. His son has just passed a 9-week test on Army Green Beret medic. So he's there instead of here, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so one of you two guys down the end will get to vote alternately, I guess.
We'll arm wrestle for it.
There you go, yeah,
You win.
okay. Anyway, that's the attendance. Minutes, approval of minutes. I noticed a couple of little glitches in the minutes and sent them to Pat Patricia, but I think other than that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second. Okay. So, approve,
Yes.
approve,
Approve.
approve. Okay,
You're it next.
good. Well, that brings us to item 230-404-803 Kings Highway. And this is a continued public hearing. So introduce yourself again when you get to the mic.
I'm Mike Bedell for Kennebunk River Architects, representing John Gallan at 803 Kings Highway for the continuation of the last meeting and to address the comments that the board made. Hopefully, the information that has been resubmitted and passed along helps to clarify some of the board's, questions that were posed last time.
Yeah.
If you'd like to just give it a quick overview for the,
So what we ended up doing was, a few of the comments that were addressed were, there were just some discrepancies noted in some average heights, some grade elevations and whatnot. So what we did is we took Lower Village's survey, we worked back through their elevations, revamped our elevations, came up with new elevations that met the code for the 30-foot height restriction. And in the revised packet, you'll see revised volume calculations as well that kind of depict where we took a little bit of volume out of the house, mainly just by reducing the roof pitch ever so slightly.
okay? So Larry, you had almost questions on this one.
Well, yes, so I do appreciate your speedy response. And actually, based on, I know you reconfirmed all your dimensions, and I realize now that I did have a slight misinterpretation of your original plans, but thanks for reconfirming.
Sure.
Okay? And well, I mean, to me, it looks okay.
Oh, you had some missing things you were,
Well, the only, yeah, I mean, the one thing that might be of interest is the erosion control provisions.
So I spoke to Jeff Oliver of Civil Consultants on coming up with a detail with that.
Yeah.
And he had asked that we work back and forth with Werner.
Yeah.
When the permit time comes. to
That's
be able
great.
to
In fact, that's the way I've
settle
written
that.
the finding of facts. Submit this before you get a building permit.
Yes.
So, I mean, to me, you're in good shape.
okay, and it did, because I thought this had, among other things, and didn't have a deed, or did you?
No, the deed
deed's
was there, and then today I received another electronic version of the deeds, another copy of the deed. So, I mean, but the DEP form, you still have to have that, but you know that too, that's also in the finding of facts.
Sure,
So, I mean, to me, you're in good shape, yeah.
okay. Any other comments on this one? Well, then I'll open the continued public hearing. See if anyone would like to discuss 803 Kings Highway. Have any raised hands?
There are no raised hands.
No raised hands. None, no, I see none here, so I'm going to close for good the public hearing. So, any, want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion,
All right,
Mr. Chairman, that we approve the plan as submitted.
I'll second that.
okay. I'll go down.
Agree, approve.
Approve.
Approve?
Approve.
Approve. Okay. So that one's approved.
Thank you.
Okay. I know you have us a finding of facts. Why don't we
At the end.
do a major readathon at the end?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Two or three together at
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah, you two, both you
Harmony.
two can read both at the same time.
Excellent.
Won't be that
Do
confusing.
it in harmonic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Item 230405, 21 Norwood Ave.
Yeah.
And once again, Kennebunk River Architects. Just you.
Okay.
I am John Einsiedler, and I'm representing Kate and Mark Bodicher of 21 Norwood Lane. And we had been proposing to elevate the house about 4 feet to get it into the new flood maps. And we also were proposing on moving a structure at the rear of the property as much forward as we could to meet the setback. And in doing so, we violate the side setback by an additional 2 feet. But we've moved the structure about 30, a little over 30 feet. From this, now it's a little over 30 feet away from the resource.
Right. But you're now closer to the property line of the neighbors.
Correct.
Have you checked with the neighbors on that topic?
Not that I've heard, no.
Mother.
The neighbor loves it. Okay, good.
We're also proposing to bring in some fill, about 30 inches of fill around the structure, about 120 yards. I haven't heard back from the DEP. I've contacted them twice.
Those, as we did before, that'll be something obviously required before you can pull a permit.
Yep. But it's been 3-4 weeks, a couple different times.
Okay. So, Ed, do you have any questions on this one? No?
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you for the updated drawings. I was able to go in and see quantitatively what was where, but I do have a couple of questions on that. Make sure that I understand the rationale for your discussion about being closer to the resource or further away from the resource. We said on the west side, westish side, you've proposed a 40.4 foot distance from the high water mark. And that's about a 2 foot change, not for the better, not a big change. And on the east, it's slightly improved. Right, it's proposed to be 40 foot 2 inches. No, I have something wrong here. On the east side, I don't have the drawing in front of me. I didn't get a paper copy. What's the setback from the resource on the right-hand side? Before and after?
Currently, it is 21 feet, and then the closest point will be the existing corner of the garage, of the house,
you're gonna-
I mean,
You're going to improve it by 20 feet.
yeah,
So
Yes.
it's a substantial improvement
correct.
on that side. Okay.
Yeah.
In the process of doing that, it looks like currently the front of the lot, you're 2 foot over the 20-foot setback from the front,
On the sideline, yes.
on the front,
Yep.
yeah. And you're proposing to increase that nonconformance.
Correct.
I didn't understand the rationale for that.
Well, I'm keeping the same, pretty much sliding the structure forward,
Yeah.
and that then encroaches.
I guess I'll ask the rest of the board and Werner what they think about that. Can that be allowed? It says in no case shall the existing nonconformance be increased. I think on the side setbacks, because of the shoreland zone, there's clearly an improvement. Even though one has gone up slightly, the other has gotten better.
We've done that before.
I think that's great. I don't see how we can rationalize the front of the house getting closer to the street. What's that have to do with the resource?
Well, it's getting closer to the sideline, not the street.
To the sideline.
So which,
The
yeah, which,
neighbor.
where,
Oh, I-
you've lost me on the street.
I'm getting,
Street, I think, is.
What are we
left
talking about?
side.
there's a 20-foot setback on the front of that drawing, right? Am I missing that?
Yep.
No, on the
That's-
front,
This is the street is here,
yeah.
and then this would be the 20-foot setback. And then this is the side yard setback.
Well, maybe I'm confused. You're saying it's the side yard setback that's gotten,
Correct.
Correct. So it actually gets closer to the
Gets
family member.
closer to the neighbor.
so in the front, on the street side, what is the before and after on the setback from the lot line?
That one is from the lot line, well, I have it from the resource, but this is the setback line, so it's not encroaching on the setback further.
The before and after?
Before and
neither one
after, no, it's not encroaching. The only encroachment was on the sideline.
is on the sideline. Okay. I'm pretty sure I was just confused on that.
Just from-
The only other question I had is on the height. Is it specified on the drawings what the proposed height is?
Yep.
Can you just tell me what that is? I didn't see it.
26, no, it's just about 27 feet.
And that's just about what it is now?
No,
No?
because we're raising it 4 feet.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So you're currently at 23 feet.
Yeah.
All right, I had that wrong. That's all I had, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Well, yes.
Yes, of course.
So I had some questions on the foundation.
Yep.
Thanks for sending the updated fill detail. I mean, that looks really good, you know. But when I looked at this again, the thing that, well, there's a couple of things. One is that your footing is like only 20 inches wide. And I know the soil around here is pretty soft until you get down to ledge. So I know you're going to excavate down to 4 feet, right? So once you remove the overburden, then you can say that is the bearing capacity of the soil. But let's just take the worst case. Well, okay, kind of hypothetical, but at 4 feet, the soil can take 400 pounds per square foot. A typical, you know, sort of family-style house, this is 1.5 stories, 2 stories? This is a 2-story house, right?
2-story, yeah.
Okay, that can easily exert a force of 1,000 pounds, 1 ton per square foot, okay? So for this location, then I would guess that I'd be more comfortable, not that well, if the footing was wider, you know, like my expectation would be it'd be like 4.5 or 5 feet wide. However, you know, what I'm working around to, before you finalize the footing, the foundation design, maybe you want to do some testing, you know, take some actual bearing, you know, measurements to see what can actually take.
Yeah.
Because
and-
to me, the foundation looks optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's there until we start excavating, so I'm,
Well, I know, so, anyway, so all I'm saying is, it needs to, in the absence of soil testing, maybe you want to just make it bigger, wider.
Yep.
That's all. So I had, that's my main comment. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So, again, this is a continued public hearing from last time, so if there are any people here who would like to speak on this, this one? I mean, the neighbors already said they like it, but beyond that, okay, any hands raised?
No hands raised in the
Okay, so once again, I'm going to close the public hearing. And do we need to add something to Ed's FOF about the,
Not really. I mean, you know, he's doing the design. I'm just saying, maybe you want to think about this because it looks a little skimpy to me. That's all.
all right, very good. So do we have any, how about a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
Okay, and
I agree.
Ed,
Agree.
agree?
Agree.
Agree.
Okay. There we go, that's 2 out of them. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Tom,
you.
we'll have findings at the next meeting.
Yeah, findings will come at the next meeting, but you don't have to be here for them.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, now, 230403, 47 The Long and Winding Road.
Yep.
And this is Jim Logan.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. I appreciate your attention tonight. You'll recall we were last here, I think it was June 7th. We had some discussion at that time. The application was deemed complete in the preliminary plan phase. We determined we could set the public hearing for tonight. We did discuss the rationales and justifications needed for the waiver requests that we added. There were 4. We identified the rationales, and we put that in the mail to you. Hopefully you got those before this meeting. The other item that came up was the reference to the fire pond that's out on Long and Winding Road. And since the fire chief's first letter spoke only about the adequacy of the turnaround for the fire truck template, you asked for more clarification. I believe Sarah was successful with the fire chief, and that letter was submitted back to April, and I think April made sure that you all had a copy of that as well. I believe those were the only 2 specific items from that night, as I recall. And otherwise, we're here to address any concerns or questions that may linger. Anything from the public, in the hopes that we can open and
Okay,
close the
and,
public hearing.
Scott is the case manager, but he's not here, as I stated. Does anybody have any comments on this guy here?
Nope,
I'm good.
not really.
And so I think we should vote on the waivers.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we generally vote on the waivers with the preliminary and then do it again officially on the final. But
Can't we vote as a bunch?
let's vote them as a block, since we have this nice letter that there's 4 of them. The high-intensity soil survey, hydrogeologic assessment, the estimate of vehicular traffic, and stormwater management. So I would move that we approve the waivers requested of those 4 items.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? No. George?
Approve.
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 Yes, approve.
Okay, so we've approved those. Now we need to open up the public hearing. See if we have any public that are interested in this, other than you two. Any hands raised?
No hands raised.
So, in that case, I'm going to close the public hearing.
I guess maybe I did hear a rumor that one neighbor submitted some letter, I think, in support of the.
Yes.
Yes, we got that.
And you did get
Yeah.
that?
we did get
Okay,
that.
just wanted to note that to the public
Yeah,
record.
we did.
Thank you.
Okay, so, guess I'll take a, motion here to, approve this little
I'll make a
preliminary.
motion that we approve this preliminary plan.
Second,
All right, Ed,
Agree.
Approve.
approve.
approve?
Approve.
Good. Okay, so we still have to get a final from you
We
guys.
put a final application together in the appropriate amount of time.
Yeah.
You'll let us know, I guess, after that submission. We had discussed the possibility of maybe waiving the second public hearing, depending on the results of tonight.
Yeah,
And if that's the case, we would love to get it in one if we can, in the next
ideally,
meeting.
we can get it in one if,
Fingers crossed.
yeah.
We thank you very kindly tonight.
Okay, and I have a letter to sign here,
Yes, Scott put together a letter.
which is the letter that, approval of a preliminary plan is
Oh.
given by a letter to you.
Love it.
So
Do I get a copy of that tonight?
they
or-
made 2 copies. So
Love it.
So you get 2 originals, you'll
Well,
get
I'll
one
be
of them.
happy to resubmit that back with the next application. Thank you very much.
All right, making great progress here.
Man, tearing things up.
Didn't need to bring any coffee.
Yeah,
All right, the next
and don't speak too soon.
Next piece is 77 Pure Road. It's item number 230502, 77 Pure Road. German Lucarelli, Herman, sorry. Site plan review.
77.
How are you? Sorry, I'm running a little late. We are in the middle of the opening of the new restaurant, Ultramar. Today is our first night.
You're
Yeah.
here.
Good to hear. Yeah, I know. So I should explain a little bit what is this about.
Explain
Yeah.
it, yes, thank you.
So what I'm trying to do, seeing over the construction time, the renovations at the former Pier 77, we saw all the, all the traffic, foot traffic, people doing sport, and even the Loftermans. And talking with them, it was nothing about where to grab a cup of coffee or say it's a single croissant. Everyone had to turn around and go back to town, grab it and go back if they want to sit and watch the ocean and the boats. So my idea was to bring a trailer. It looks like a food truck, but it doesn't have an engine. It's a trailer you pull with my truck, and offer Italian espressos, some snack like a croissant or something for breakfast, and some refreshment to the part from in the morning, 7 a.m. to, lunchtime, something like that. The idea is to offer another service, to the community and to also the workers, the fishermen. Sometimes they look for a hot cup of coffee and something to snack.
Okay.
Basically, it's.
All right.
And I think I put a reference, you have the drawing where I propose to be located as on the side of the front of the restaurant, which is no any other assigned parking spot. And we have plenty of space to put this little trailer.
Okay, just looking at it, so you show a couple of parking spaces fairly far in to the front of it, and they can still, they'll have to drive around the trailer to get there?
No, the trailer is going to be over the side, so they can go through. It is, what is land there? It's a little, piece of flat grass right on the corner under the tree, so we don't disturb the traffic coming in and out.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about the last couple of cars. There's, if you look at where the trailer is,
Where it says edge of pavement?
Yes.
yeah,
Right, those two were the
the
ones
three,
that
the
I
three
wondered.
that have the words edge of pavement printed across the cars. Those guys might have a little
District
adventure
now,
getting in.
I will have to update. Now is the handicap parking, so we only exclusive for handicap, and where the dimension we took it coming in and out, and also we have a valet parking service on the side.
Could we go to the basics first?
Yeah.
Zone, you've got DZ here as a zone, but it's really Cape Porpoise West zone. It's also shoreland zone, and by my calculations, I think it's resource protection? No, okay, so it's shoreland zoning. Your lot is less than an acre. In Cape Porpoise West, that would be a conditional use. But in shoreland zoning, restaurants aren't even allowed. And what you're doing here, basically, is you are expanding a non-conforming use by putting that trailer there.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Nina, this is in Cape Porpoise Square zone, the majority of the property, not Cape Porpoise West.
So this is Cape Porpoise Square?
Yes. Cape Porpoise Square and Cape Porpoise East, it's dual zoned. The majority of the
It's dual
property.
zone.
Yep, the majority of the property is in Cape Porpoise Square where restaurant use is a conditional use.
Okay, so the restaurant use is conditional, but it's still shoreland, isn't it?
There's an overlay, yes.
It's an overlay, and shoreland doesn't allow restaurants.
Now, all the underlying uses are permitted in shore.
Okay. But I still see a non-conforming lot. And you're expanding the use, the restaurant use, by adding a trailer to it.
But it's not a non-conforming use.
It's a conditional use.
It's a conditional.
It's a conditional use, but the lot is non-conforming.
Correct. So the lot,
By yourself, please.
so the lot, yes, thank you. Werner Gilliam,
Okay?
town of Kennebunkport. So what you have is you have, the lot is split by a couple of zones. And so on the side of the road, or the right-of-way, where the food, where the food truck is being proposed, is in Cape Porpoise Square,
That's
And
where
so
restaurants are.
where restaurants are conditional use, and that has a shoreland zone overlay, which in the shoreland zone overlay, it specifies that the underlying uses, which the underlying uses are in the underlying zone, which is Cape Porpoise Square. RP is a zone, but that's not here in this location. So this is not resource protection, this location, okay?
Why is it not resource protection? Because it's very close to the water.
Well, proximity doesn't determine it.
Okay,
It's not, it's elevated up, it's up outside of the floodplain.
okay.
So proximity doesn't determine it as RP. Yeah, in this case here, it's whether it's in that floodplain area. Now, the parking lot on the other side is what's in the other Cape Porpoise zone.
West.
Right.
Yeah, this is Cape
And-
Porpoise West.
Correct. And so on that side, you don't have restaurants as a conditional use. So the parking lot,
So you couldn't put the trailer in the parking lot?
Exactly.
Got it.
right,
Okay.
which is why it's on,
My option too, so I guess we
Right.
stay with option one.
right, which is why it's on this side where the restaurant is.
Okay.
So it's in a zone where it's a conditional use.
Learn some every day.
And so the lot, in that sense, you've got, you have your lot. Now, you've got a 20,000 square foot minimum lot size in the underlying zone. Shoreland makes it a 40,000 square foot lot because of the shoreland zone overlay. So shoreland zone has its own lot size requirements.
Right.
So in determining whether it's a conforming lot or non-conforming lot, if it's in the shoreland zone, so if it's part of that overlay, then if it's less than 40,000 square feet, then it's a non-conforming lot.
Well,
But-
wait a minute. First, you're saying that the Cape Porpoise Square zone is the zone and the
Right.
shoreland zone is the underlying zone.
No, shoreland is the overlay,
Overlay.
square
But if
is,
shoreland zone is the overlay,
right.
doesn't the use there become prohibited?
No. Because it's,
That
Bec-
doesn't make sense to me.
it specifies in the ordinance that those uses in the underlying zone are permitted. When you look at your shoreland zone uses,
Yeah, but you're saying the shoreland zone is the overlay in this case.
Correct.
And Cape Porpoise West is the underlying.
well, so let's take Cape Porpoise West out of the equation, okay? Because that's the parking lot and that's not the subject of the application. So Cape Porpoise Square, where the restaurant is located and where this food truck is proposed, the underlying zone, so your base zoning district is Cape Porpoise Square, which restaurants are a conditional use. Shoreland zone is an overlay, which really what that does is it just provides for performance standards. So in the ordinance, if you look at uses, shoreland zone uses, it says that, uses in the underlying zone those are permitted
In the shoreland zone.
in the shoreland zone. Resource protection, that's a different situation.
Right.
Resource protection is a separate, is not really treated like an overlay, and it does govern uses. RP does,
Okay.
but this isn't RP
Yeah, because of the elevation.
because of the elevation.
I got it.
So you're saying that the shoreland zone overlay makes it a 40,000,
Now,
No,
right, so if you
it's
just think of a
20,000.
lot, right? So think of just a lot size, okay? So picture a community where you have no zoning, right? And they just have the shoreland zone, state mandated shoreland zoning. So state mandated shoreland zoning provides for a minimum lot size, which is 40,000 square feet. So when we look at, so if someone were coming in and saying, hi, I'd like to create a lot in a shoreland zone, but they're in one of the Cape Porpoises, for example, 20,000 square feet, we still have to look at the more restrictive in terms of a lot size, if someone were creating a lot. And so if they're in the shoreland zone, they've got to meet that 40,000, even though they might be in an underlying zone that has a lesser requirement.
okay, but this isn't 40,000.
Right. And that's not,
9.6.
that's not at issue here. Because you have a use, a conditional use. So you look at your nonconformities and in making your decision as to whether or not does this, what does this do? Right. And so does this does this application make it better, worse, or doesn't affect it at all in terms of the nonconformity, right? And so for lot size, it doesn't do anything in regards to lot size.
Well, it's not changing the lot size,
No,
but it's changing the footprint of the restaurant in the lot.
which in this case is in the parking lot.
It's already impervious.
So it does not increase any impervious
Impervious,
counts
okay.
because it's
All right.
located
It's in a paved area.
Yeah.
in an existing paved area.
Okay, so that's where I was having a problem there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is
So-
one you have to thread the needle a little bit.
Okay, so we're not
Understand
increasing
it.
impervious. And you got shoreland, okay. All right. So I think the application needs to be corrected to indicate that it's basically the Cape Porpoise.
Square.
Square and east, huh? East comes in there somewhere. I think it'd be,
Shoreland,
yeah, and shoreland, yeah.
and Cape Porpoise.
It'd be really great to see all this, what Werner said documented in your application, because it's not really obvious. I think it's
I
pretty,
don't think you
Just
could
to
say
make it a
it
little more
again.
clear.
yeah. I'd like to see it just for reference.
Okay, all right. Then I don't have a problem.
I'm not trying to create any problem, trying to bring a new service.
Sorry.
No, no worries.
So you listed the lot size of .96, that's both segments.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So the .96 is Cape Porpoise Square plus Cape Porpoise East together, right?
Correct.
The lot
As
size.
Yeah.
Warner say, I think right away, the street, the Pier Road, which is kind of my property, but it divides whatever is the restaurant use and the parking lot.
Okay.
Is the right-of-way in the Cape Porpoise east zone? Is it east or west? I thought it was
It's
west.
in square.
And square.
Is the square, okay.
So is the request that I'm hearing from the board to correct the DZ, to explain there's two zones, and then to just mark the two zones on the map?
Yes.
And that would
Just label it, yeah.
fix it.
In fact, it'd be really useful to show, I think, the area of the Cape Porpoise Square and the area in the Cape Porpoise
Right,
East
split the
separately.
.96 into the two.
Yeah, so we could see what's, which is where.
Why?
So you can see what.
Well, I'm not sure because
No, if we
the,
draw it on the map, I think we could do that, and then
yeah,
we'd
just
see
sketch it on the map, yeah.
If
Show it on the
You
map.
draw a line
Next
through
one,
here
yeah,
that
yeah,
says,
just find a way
this is one zone and this is the other.
If you put it on the map, that's okay,
I
that's
think
what I
that
mean.
that would be sufficient.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
still waiting to get to the teeth of this, to the meat of this. In terms of, it just seems to me that we're going to talk in a minute at least about, is this an expansion of a non-conforming use or not? And we haven't had that discussion.
Right, not yet, yeah.
Okay, so,
So, yeah, if you just marked on the map, east and west, and square, I guess those three zones, that'd really help.
Okay, so, shall we have the other discussion?
can I just ask the question, simply? My first reaction was, oh, man, this area, it's all about the parking.
Yeah,
But as I thought about it, and as you just explained here, it sounds like the hours of operation of this is really not competing with your restaurants.
No,
It's off hours, it's gonna serve a need, so the parking, which was where I was gonna go, oh my God, you're gonna have, how many more seats does this equivalent to? But it's not.
no, it's a food traffic, basically.
I understand, but if you were to say this was running at the same time that Ultramar or I'm sorry,
Casa 77.
77 are in business, and I'm gonna say, well, you're gonna have more traffic, you're gonna have more parking, I don't care which one of the three they're going to, but if you're saying this is in the morning hours, and a lot of the clientele are already there and parked, and the other ones, there's gonna be adequate parking to the extent it is adequate today. As long as it's off hours, this feels like a nice addition to the community,
Yeah.
all right?
yeah.
And it doesn't, everything that happens down there runs into this parking situation, you
yeah.
know, but,
Which allow,
was a
and
clever
I
idea.
leave open, all my parking lot, from the morning, it's always full. I allow people, off my business hour to park because it's nowhere to park, no?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah,
So
we
know. Yeah,
we
maybe-
allowing that part to be a little more organized and not a lot of cars.
maybe
parked
now
on
they'll
the-
buy an
on the street.
espresso too, you know, so, yeah,
And then now they can have espresso.
which would be wonderful.
Well, it's for me, it's something new, it's just to see the beauty, the Cape Porpoise and how much people come to just to enjoy the view. and
So,
the
so
calm.
would you consider a conditional approval, a condition of approval that limited the hours of operation for the food truck outside of the hours of operation of the existing two restaurants.
Correct? Yeah.
What do you guys think?
So that would be first thing in the morning
So,
until,
He was describing it sort of like until noonish, but
Yeah.
yeah, just, I think you could write the restriction broadly, though.
Yeah.
Right, because
yeah.
maybe there's a seasonal aspect to it, I don't know.
Well,
But I don't care.
That is another thing. The trailer is going to be seasonal, and sometimes I'm going to use for catering and events, you know?
Sure.
So it's not something going to be just
Right.
steady there, you know?
As long as they're not concurrent, I don't think it's an expansion. That's my gut on this.
Reasonable.
And the parking is not public parking, it's his parking,
It's my,
that's right.
Yeah.
which he shares with the public.
I was gonna say, it's all kind of,
Owned by the,
there's a community spirit that is required to make all of that work down there, I know.
There is.
Yeah.
Down there, but on this property.
Yeah.
Any parking that he interferes with is his parking.
Yeah,
It's
but you
true,
have-
but he also
you have
shares
public
that.
Parking, and if people want to go to the trailer who are not
Still
going
can.
to, they,
Yeah.
you've got, don't you have 3 restaurants there? You have the Cape Pier Chowder House?
the chowder house, and yeah, the morning I open downstairs Casa 77, and in the afternoon, that was something that I want to add. At 5 p.m. I open Ultramar, so I never will have 3 things going on at the same time. So if you consider to do the operation hour, maybe we can consider the Ultramar open at 5 p.m.
But
And
you
then
have
just
no,
do lunch
you have no
downstairs.
control over the Chowder House, that's independent.
That is independent, that's no.
that's
no money.
independent, it is,
They could be open at any hour,
yeah.
They, yeah, I think they open around 11.
right?
Yeah, they're open
Something
11
like
to 8, I think.
But they could
change
open
in,
earlier if they wanted to.
They could, but they don't own any parking.
But they don't own any parking, and nobody's supposed to park down there if they're not a fisherman before 11 also.
Okay.
So I don't think they're likely to open it.
that's what we have, in season, we have the ballet attendant, you
Yeah.
know, just to help.
So you would not be averse to us saying no, that you're not gonna, that the trailer's gonna close before 5, or at 5?
Yeah, if you, like I say, in the morning we open Casa, we can do the other one from the morning until 5-ish. That will be great, you know?
Okay.
I don't see people getting espressos at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but maybe.
No,
Well,
no.
present company
Maybe I
excluded.
can bring, also we made our homemade ice cream and gelato at Lost Fire, and it's something that we can offer, you know, to the public.
I'm just curious, you said that you could use the trailer again if you wanted to do an event somewhere offsite.
Right.
Would you be taking the trailer in and out every day, or just leaving there for most of the time?
No, most of the time it's going to be there, but if it's hired for a private event, which people is already inquiring, I will move the shift for that night, you
Yep.
know?
Thank you.
Which I can operate in the morning or until the afternoon, and usually these type of events are in the evening. Yeah. And it's going to be seasonal, no, because it's a trailer, so it's just for the season, and after it have to be storage.
Your valet parking starts when? At 5?
No, we have lunch and dinner,
The valet.
Lunch?
yeah, lunch and dinner.
So see, that's where I'm so stuck. So you're gonna operate this outside the hours of your normal restaurant hours.
That's what
Correct.
I asked.
So it's like 5 a.m. to 11 a.m., right? Something like that?
7 a.m.
Or 7 a.m. till noon or something?
Yeah, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. till noon, so
If I can do 7 to 5, because I don't open Ultramar until 5, which is the night traffic, that will be great. Because only downstairs, which is 38-seat restaurant they have downstairs, is the only one they open for lunch. Until 5, I open the upstairs.
if we could, I'd like to avoid us getting into specifying hours.
Yeah,
I want to be able to make the argument that says, we were worried that this might be an expansion of use, but the applicant has assured us that he'll accept a condition where this food truck won't be in operation unless all of his parking is available. It's not going to add to the parking burden. So it won't operate when either of the other two restaurants are open.
and the other one opens at 11 a.m.
Okay,
Okay.
but
that's
to make that, I just want to be able to make that simple argument. If that's not, I thought it was acceptable. I thought that's what you said in your opening remarks. So it seemed okay. I don't want to,
Well, it seems okay to me too, but I want clarity about whether you want to close at 11 a.m. or if you want to close at 5 p.m. And you said 5.
I would prefer if you can consider the restaurant upstairs is open at 5 p.m. If you allow me to do from the morning until 5, it will help also the investment to have, 2 valet parkings to control the traffic and organize everything. It will be great.
so it's not as clean an argument, but you have to say that parking is shared by the two restaurants.
Yes.
When they are both open,
Right.
there is adequate parking, albeit limited parking.
So there will never be more than 2 restaurants open. There could be the smaller restaurant and the food truck, or the smaller restaurant and the larger restaurant, but never all 3.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, that may be
An easier way to-
getting into timing
to
and all
frame
this
it.
other stuff.
Yeah, but
Only
let's
put it-
stay out of that, because
Yeah.
you might find that after you run this for a while, some thought will occur to you that hasn't occurred to you at this minute. We don't want to codify some time in the condition of approval that later turns out to be a burden. Let's just say, we want to make sure that enough parking for this truck is available. It's not adding to the parking burden. I think if either restaurant is closed, you can make that argument.
The argument would be that it's not an expansion of use if you have the 3 working so that you're not expanding the total number of hours. That would,
Total
that
number of
would be
patrons.
in conformance with Frost v. Lucy, I think, and what they did with the hotel and the expansion of hours. Then.
If I may add something, I don't see, so the trailer, I don't see people just coming to eat coffee and ice cream. I think it's something like the Chowder House, they don't have desserts or coffee or something like that.
People come up here to look at the view and
No,
look
I'm saying
outside.
they're not going to drive specific, so I don't think it's going to add more traffic. For the people that's already there, which in Casa 77, she said basically, don't offer, desserts or the Chowder House. The people who finish to have dinner, they have maybe something else to grab a coffee or a cup de gelato or something like that. I don't see it, but maybe I'm wrong. I hope so. I see it more as a extra service, something. If you want to eat dessert, let's say the Chowder House, which is very popular, do you want to eat something sweet and you come with your family and your kids, it's nothing there.
Or just the people that go for a view. Yeah,
Just the
and
people that go
and-
for the
and
view, exactly.
Because it is quite a spectacular spot.
I think it's, I don't know, I thought that's what I like to do in the morning,
Have an
but I
espresso
have
and
my
look at the
coffee
view.
machine inside, so, but I think it's, and I see the people, I say, go there, leave the family, turn around, go to grab coffee, they come back with all the plastic and all the stuff, and, so. they
What
have
if
to
whoever
keep-
owned the restaurant cut a hole in the side of the restaurant, made a window, and first thing in the morning, they decide to serve coffee?
Correct.
Yes.
Would that be an expansion of use?
If they're adding seats, yes.
But there are no seats in the trailer.
No seat. I don't,
But instead of a window, he's putting a trailer there. But if you were to just put a window there, which I'm not suggesting you do,
no.
but if you were just put a window there and they opened up in the morning to serve some coffee, would that be an expansion of use?
Possibly.
No, but putting a trailer there and adding space could be. Okay, but if you look at the timing of the opening of the restaurants and when it's available, that I don't think would be considered an expansion.
I think that was the point I was thinking of, in terms of the timing, in terms of parking, in terms of patronage.
Without specifying timing, but just saying,
Two of the three.
you've got
that-
three you've got two restaurants and a truck. You don't have more than two total things open, so.
At any one time, yeah.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
clear, I'm happy.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's a good.
That means 5 o'clock virtually, but
5 o'clock, yeah.
most of the
Well,
time.
but that's today,
I
and
don't,
a
I
year
don't wanna
from now,
make
we
the
may
kids
change
cry,
it.
no, but.
What if you want a gelato at 8 o'clock at night?
Well,
Correct.
well, you want that chef to go down to Bradbury's.
All right.
Already the community got
Move- it's a
upset
trailer,
because,
move the trailer.
you know, in the beginning I opened until 5 because we're getting all the staff on it, but everyone want to watch the sunset, you know, which is is the best part, but they kill me in the media and social media, but I say, well, we're doing it little by little. We try to bring something new. Anyway,
Very good. So the additions to the plot plan of the two zones,
Right.
and was there a change, another change that was required?
Just on the application page
On the
itself,
application,
fixing the
where it
zone.
says
The
DZ,
zone,
yeah,
yeah, fixing the zone on the application page.
right.
Well, I had a couple of other questions. So, are you gonna have to add any dumpster or anything, any solid waste disposal feature? Because
no, so we have the grease trap right
Yeah.
there next to the street. So
Uh-huh.
the idea, talking with the health inspector also, because I need a plan, so we can dump all it's water only where you wash. If you're going to scoop ice cream, you need just to wash the ice cream cup.
Well, but there could be like paper waste as well from
Well,
the ice cream or.
we will
gel-
need to have a trash can, and also
Yeah.
it's two of them in the pier already for public service.
And you'll be able to use those
Yes.
for this, okay?
Yeah.
All right. And then the other issue I had, or not issue, but a observation, is that it seems sort of a tight squeeze there. So, and I think I heard you say that you're going to continue to use these edge of pavement. This is the handicap parking area right there, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so I see,
Right now, it's if you see the car, is car number 3 next to the front door. That is the handicap.
okay,
right
well, there's a three other spaces, you know, to
Right.
the, well, I guess it's west of there. So, I mean, I just see a potential conflict. If there's a car there and there's some guy standing or some person standing at the food truck, you know, there could be a little collision. So, were you going to open is this gonna be a one-side opening type of food truck? Or are you gonna have both sides open?
No.
One side. So my question is, so could the side that's open be facing the Chef Garden area so that there's nobody actually standing in the parking lot? You know, so if there is a collision, it's just between the car and the truck and no pedestrian gets squished.
Sure, we
You
can
know?
do that.
I mean, that's
I was planning to put, the start sheet,
bollards.
correct.
Well, you might want to show that because you're encroaching on your parking area, which is going to make
Okay.
access, you know, it's
I
going
can
to.
put it on the other side, yeah.
Gonna further restrict access to, well, in that area. And, so when I start thinking more about this, so, you know, it almost seems like maybe you wanna think about removing those 3 parking places and moving this truck farther back, you know, back to the west, I guess that's west. Yeah, west, away from the current location, so that there really is minimal opportunity for a collision to occur. But then that would result in the removing 3 parking places, and I don't know how many parking places.
I think you're already under spec
end up
there.
with-
You're grandfathered
Already under?
on a
That's what I was
shortage.
thinking, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
don't think you can do that.
So anyway, so you see what I'm after? If
Yes,
minimize the possibility of collision between a car and a pedestrian.
Well, and if the espresso is really good, there's going to be a queue of people
Exactly,
waiting for it,
exactly,
right?
there's
You
gonna
know,
be a
so-
line. So anyway, be safer, I
All the way
think,
out the pier?
Well, maybe.
possibly, yeah.
I hope so.
Young children frolicking. Yeah,
Yes,
got it, got
I
it.
can review that, yeah.
Okay.
I can do that.
And also, when you update your drawing, if you could actually show the proposed locations of the little bollards you're gonna put, because that's
Okay, yeah,
actually,
I just draw here, yeah.
that's going to have it.
And I'm going, yeah, I can give you
gonna
the
encroach.
distance between the car and stuff also.
That'd be
I can
great.
put some dimensions there.
All right,
Sure.
thank you.
Larry, when we looked at the Noonan's, when they added outdoor,
Yep,
there was a safety concern there.
Yep.
And somebody looked at that who
Yeah.
had credentials and experience and all of that.
Yeah.
Is there someone in the town that does that? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's, the planning board looks at it and they say, gee, I wonder if there's a safety concern. But obviously, you know, the insurance people and the proprietors, they all want to be comfortable that this is a viable situation. How does that work normally? It is a cozy situation. I'm sure it can be made safe, but how do we assure ourselves that it's safe? Just a question to Warner on that. How is the
Okay,
town?
no, but I want to say that
Yeah.
until we open at 5 p.m., so all these parking lots is all free, you know,
Yeah.
it's open, because with the other parking lot on the other side of the street, it's plenty of cars to have a full restaurant downstairs.
I understand, and I think that's terrific. But I'd still like to be assured that it is safe. Who can do that?
And I think the difference that you're looking at here between this and Noonan's is the fact that Noonan's is directly adjacent to Route 9.
Oh, yeah,
And
much busier.
This here is within the parking lot.
It's
you
just
know.
a confined lot, that's all.
Right.
And Larry got me thinking that it is an issue. You know, people will be backing
The
out.
problem is that the people have to back out those cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I'm wondering if you can't, I hate to go into landscaped areas, but I'm wondering if you can't turn that trailer perpendicular so that the opening where you serve food faces the right-of-way. And then you would have room for the cars to move in and out. It looks like you have two trees there. But-
That's what I say, I cannot cut the trees, you know.
No, I'm not saying cut the
No, I'm
trees.
saying the only way was to remove this tree, but I can move the trailer a little bit, on, you know, whatever is the grass. There's a little grass, a stone, crushed stone, something like this in the pavement, so maybe I can show it and take the dimensions and maybe move a little more inside of the, whatever is the chef garden, because there is flat, that part.
I'm sorry,
It's a flat in the beginning and after go up, and then on top is what we're planning to do, the chef garden. Yeah.
Tom, can I just interject? I asked a question. I think Werner was up, he was going to answer it for me, and somehow the answer got lost. We went on to the next question.
Yeah.
Can I ask my question again? Is there a way that here in the town, do we have a department, or how do we assure ourselves that, and again, we don't have to do it up front here, but when the permit is granted, when it actually happens, who goes in and says, yeah, this is okay?
So I think really the question that I have is what's the particular concern, in terms of the safety component piece?
Of the geometry here that's shown on the drawing being such that you've got the trailer and where we envision the line of people, waiting for their espressos or savoring those first sips, it looks like it's right in where people might be backing up. And if they're not careful, they're going to back up into the people or the children they have with them. And so there's talk about maybe we had some bollards, and I think all that's great. But who in the end looks at that and says, yeah, this is okay?
So
Nobody-
I can tell you that's not something that, that
town
I
doesn't do-
say sure, this is safe
Right.
according to such and such, and we don't have anyone on staff that renders that.
There
you know,
isn't.
Renders that type
Would a
of
traffic engineer
determination.
look at something like that in parking?
I mean, the only other example where I can give you, that is a very similar situation is actually a town facility, and that's the bathrooms in Dock Square. So
Oh,
it's
good,
it's a
yeah.
very similar situation in that
Sure.
you have a building where you have people that congregate, directly outside of that, and it's in a parking lot, and you
Yeah.
have,
But you have barriers, like you had at Noonan's. You asked for barriers to be put up.
there are barriers adjacent to where the benches are. Right, yeah, we have a couple of planters. Yeah, we have a couple of planters
I
that are
like the
there,
analogy.
that are weighted. But
How did you get comfortable with feeling okay about that situation?
the low speed, of that particular area.
And this would be
you
low
know,
speed
that,
also.
the fact that you have, and that, even though you have vehicle circulation there, you also have, a parking lot in and of itself is intermingled,
Barrier and
right?
everything,
It's
yeah.
always intermingled. You always have pedestrians walking through it. You always have vehicles going through it. And so, there's not really a separation between the two. They have to, people getting out of their vehicles, walking into the square.
Right.
Vehicles coming in have to, enter into that kind of visual social contract with each other that, I'm aware of you and you're aware of me, and
But you're increasing pedestrian traffic here. I'm looking at another situation here, where you have the car parked at the edge of the pavement, right at the right-of-way.
Thank you, Werner.
Could you switch the trailer with that to make a parking spot beyond the trailer and bring the trailer up to the right-of-way?
Yeah.
So basically bring the trailer forward and kind
To
of
the
switch
right-of-way.
Places.
Yes,
Just,
exactly.
yeah, interchange.
Trying to
Exactly.
Somehow
be,
fit another-
I was trying to push it farther, just for for the foot traffic and
Yeah.
the people going to the right way. I was trying to be a
I
little more
understand that,
safe.
but
The other solution I'd see is that those 6 parking spaces go away until, are not available for any use whenever the trailer is open. Basically, those handicap spaces, maybe you have to have a different one somewhere else, but handicap spaces and the 3 over at the right are not in use when your Ultramar is not open.
Okay,
you can solve that by just putting up cones.
yes, we
Or a
have cones.
temporary.
Yeah, so when you close
Yeah.
you close the trailer, then you can take away the
Remove
cones
the
that block
cones,
off
yeah.
those spaces, and then there's no problem with people.
Yeah, that'd be a good solution, yeah.
That works.
Yeah. And then you could open the food truck on the pavement side.
Okay.
If you blocked off those 6, then you could, yeah, that would be a solution, yeah.
Uh-oh,
I'm sorry, I'm gonna step in on that one.
Okay,
So those are the ADA parking spaces there, and you can't
you can't take them out.
there are
can't do
88
that.
parking spaces for a restaurant that isn't open, you can't use. Is that correct?
I
I'm sure
will-
it is, but
Yeah. And again, I think to some degree, I think, it's good conversation, but I think there's a lot of discussion over a problem that doesn't necessarily exist
it does.
here.
Guaranteed exist. Those handicapped, you cannot exist with that trailer there.
Well, I think you meant the pedestrians and the food truck.
Right.
Yeah, because the pedestrians are gonna be out in front of the food truck, and some poor handicapped person's gonna try to back out of his space.
Are those ADA spaces now? Because
Yeah.
I remember a handicap space being right by the door.
It is, it's right by the door.
Those 3.
Yeah.
I can move here.
The 3 by the
You don't
door.
want to drive back out there.
Yeah, and my comment is really more, in the sense of the pedestrian, the pedestrian vehicular issue. Again, just in the fact that you have people walking through a parking lot.
That's not gonna change.
That's not gonna change, right? I mean, that's a situation that, that exists today in every parking lot.
It's not going to change, but the number of pedestrians could increase.
Okay, well, could you relocate the ADA parking spaces to the three that are to the east, southeast? Because right now they're on the northeast side of the entrance. Just move them southeast.
Actually, the southeast ones appear to have more space between them than the other
I
three.
mean, could you do that? Could you reassign spaces, ADA to the south, and then you could close those 6 while the food truck is in operation? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, is it possible to reassign ADA spaces? I don't know what's involved there.
Doesn't it feel like we're kind of focused in on one little corner of
Right.
the elephant here? I mean, this is a busy place. The traffic varies throughout the day. You've got delivery vehicles in here. I think.
That's true.
Stretch the fact that it's not, we're trying to stretch the fact that it's not an expansion of use in order to approve it. Maybe we can't approve it because we keep trying to stretch.
I was already there, that it wasn't an expansion of use because it was being done in the off hours. That the same issue about people backing in and backing out and people, wandering around exists already throughout the day. Not so much in the morning, but
Well,
now we're going to add it.
But no matter, so basically, no matter what the parking situation is, it should still open only toward the chef garden. Basically, you don't want to have people standing around the parking lot, in my view.
Or is it, there's an issue here, come back with a solution?
What's the issue now?
The issue of just how he's gonna separate pedestrians and traffic and get the flow to work.
In particular, people queued up at the window or having just gotten their beverage
And there's options here of, can you do something with the parking spaces, or can you put it on the gravel, or can you do this, can you do that?
I don't think we want to be in that business of
No,
trying
we're
to
not- we're not
engineering a
solving
solution.
that
We're not,
because-
it's not happening.
Yeah, just asking him to
Yeah, please.
propose this is an issue, come back with a proposal
Yes.
of how you can solve it.
Yeah.
Because there's probably infinite solutions out there. It's just, okay, how are we gonna deal with this?
Yeah.
We've identified the issue, just let us know how you're gonna do it, and we'll see if it's good enough.
I like
So,
that.
so does DOT have some rules about this, Werner? Any rules from the Department of Transportation on this kind of thing?
On a parking lot.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, not that I'm aware of as it relates to a parking lot.
Okay, all right.
I don't think this place is very busy from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning. But just, we're envisioning when you go down there in the evening sometime to go to a restaurant, if there were a restaurant there. And there's a lot of traffic. You're looking for a place to park. Not so much at 7 in the morning. Fishermen over here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that busy at 7.
It was going to be open till 5.
Yeah, but he's saying all the way till.
Yeah, till
We
the
got
Ultramar
a
opens.
parking lot over here, if they wanted to block it off with a couple of cones. I think if you blocked off with cones except for ADA parking, it's not a lot of traffic. As an example, it's
Right.
not an
I
hour
think
town.
I like the ideas that Herman here gives us
Yeah.
an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
If Herman to come back with a
go out there,
solution.
look at it, and you're gonna come up with a super solution.
There we go.
Yeah, and,
Safety and stuff.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just how do you protect your customers and the pedestrians?
Correct.
And allow people to park in that. There's a solution to that. We're not gonna solve it here.
Yeah.
But it's a concern, give us a plan. How you gonna manage it?
Right.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right, so,
We need a motion of some sort.
I guess we've defined the few things that we want to be complete, but I think the thing is pretty well complete application.
Yeah, I would move that this application is complete.
Second.
Okay,
I would not, because we don't have really, we have a safety issue and it's not resolved.
so we could
I
continue.
think we need a condition on there, provided the applicant comes back with a satisfactory position for that trailer that doesn't affect the safety of pedestrians.
Well, I think all all three of the issues that we raised, we're looking for a response on.
Yeah.
And I thought we had agreement
Showing
that those would be,
zones and-
yeah, and correcting the,
So do you want to continue the
we have a,
Continue the
we have a,
hearing.
we have a
the
motion,
initial hearing until
we have a motion and a second on a motion. Can we vote on it? No?
we can, I guess?
So is it a conditional approval that we're voting on?
So I'll clarify the motion. I move that we declare this complete pending receipt of response on the three items that we raised.
Okay, second.
Okay, and the specific three items,
Are showing first of all, correcting the application from DZ to show the two zones, the Cape Porpoise Square and the Cape Porpoise East zone, and then to reflect those two zones on the map. And then the third one being to propose a solution to satisfy the safety concerns of pedestrians at the truck.
Fair enough.
all right? So you seconded that,
I seconded that, yes.
okay. In favor?
Yes.
In favor.
In favor?
In favor?
In favor? And either of you guys, I don't.
I'm in favor.
Him, okay.
You dodged that one.
All right,
Perfect.
so
See you next year.
next hearing is in early July, whenever, or,
2 weeks from now?
yeah,
Yeah,
2 weeks,
2 weeks,
I don't know.
2 weeks.
July 5th?
Probably 2 weeks, yeah,
I
July
think it's
5th.
about 2
July
weeks.
5th. Perfect.
Yeah,
See you then.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck with the
Looking
opening.
forward to that espressos.
Yeah, hurry, hurry.
Go have fun. Now what am I doing?
Okay, so that brings us to numbers, to 230503, 7 Bel Air Ave, Unit 1, and that's Mr. Graham.
Good evening. My name is David Graham. I am the acting agent for Gretchen Palmer. The proposed application is to essentially tear the house down and rebuild it, reconstruct it on its existing footprint. A portion of the house is within the front line setback, and we're looking to use the 30% expansion opportunity to expand that portion of the non-conforming section of the house. I'm hoping that you all got, I sent out a package on June 12th. So on the drawings in the bottom right corner, just below the sheet number, it should say revised June 12th. In the bottom right corner of the sheet.
No,
I did have a conversation with the DEP.
on the
And
drawings.
we were restricted under the permit by rule, not allowed to expand the foundation
Yeah,
under their
saw that.
definition of a foundation.
So the June 12th application is a complete
Yes.
replacement of the previous two
The drawing,
applications?
the application was updated, yes, and some of the exhibits were not updated because they didn't really factor into the DEP comments. So the application was revised, the numbers on the lot coverage on the application.
But some pages from the original one still live in the new.
Still are part of the application, like the deed is in there, the tax card. But it should all be there. In the June 1st application submission, all of the exhibits were included. The items that I revised following the DEP review were the three large drawings and the application itself.
Weren't there two applications before wasn't there one before the June 1st, or there was
No.
an addendum,
No, just
excuse
one.
me, wasn't there an addendum?
No, just following the DEP review. That was the only amendment I made to the drawings.
I thought not to the drawings, but to the application itself. I thought there was a first iteration
Oh, there
that had
was,
an
I
error
think
in the
Michelle
figures.
contacted me about a number, correcting a number on the
Yeah.
application. So there may have been a one-page correction made on how but that got fixed in the June 12th version as well.
I don't think I have the original sheet that was,
I think I have the revision.
How many condos are in this building?
There's 3 condos on the lot. Yep. I think also included in the package, we have a letter from the condo owners okaying the project.
Is that required?
I don't know if it was required, but I figured it may be asked, so I asked her to do that for me.
So these are freestanding condos, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And one of them, I believe, the one in the rear has been, maybe over the past 10 or 15 years, torn down and rebuilt.
But in the same footprint.
Yes. Well, that one, no. I think that one
Came before
was
the board.
adjusted, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the original plat for the condo that I found at the registry didn't match the survey that Lower Village did.
Thank you.
So, is there a base flood elevation? for this?
This is not in the floodplain.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So it's neither shoreline nor resource protection.
Correct.
Cool.
Pretty easy, I hope.
Thank you.
Then it's before us because it's non-conforming.
Yes.
I guess it.
And it's a tear down, a complete tear down. Werner advised me that if we weren't gonna tear it down, then we could just go forward with the standard 30% expansion, but we are tearing it down, so it needs to be before the board.
Okay.
Okay.
There's I'm looking at the proposed volume and existing volume.
Yes.
On the proposed, I was trying to figure out what this kind of square box on top is.
That's a dormer to get the headroom in the stair to work. So
Okay.
it cuts into, it's in the elevation drawings, but it cuts into that non-conforming area. My volume, I kept below the 30%, but I did need to squeeze that dormer for the headroom for the stairs to work.
Okay. So it's just literally
It's just
a square box that is gonna be there just for headroom for the
yeah,
stairs.
yes, it'll be a shed dormer.
Right. And then the bay that's on the right-hand side there,
Yes,
it doesn't show the volume for the roof part there, but it does have it in the lower one. So I don't know if that was, so A2. So it looked like the volume was for that small slope area was in the existing, but that volume, I don't know.
Yeah, so the bay is a single-story bay, and
Right.
it is going up to an
Right.
upper story. So there is a small
Yeah.
triangle of volume that
Volume that
I can
needs-
adjust.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
below.
I think you're below enough, but it was there.
Yeah, that's gonna be negligible, but I can certainly add that to the calculation.
The dormer doesn't add any height to the building.
No, no. The height of the building, I think, is 29.6.
29.6.
And as much as, I put that on our drawings during construction, we always check that just to be sure. We don't ever want to get to the final occupancy and discover that it's 3 inches over.
No, you don't.
It takes all the fun out of it.
Plain.
So it
Microsoft.
looks like the roof is relatively shallow.
There's a main gable that runs sort of left to, yes, that shed roof over is fairly shallow, yep.
Is there going to be any problem framing that up? I mean, it's,
No, I've already had my structural engineer working on that, so.
okay, all right.
Excuse me.
So are there any exceptions? Any issues you want to apprise us of?
No, I feel like this one's fairly straightforward compared to some of the previous ones I've done in the past. I mean, we're not asking for a footprint increase. We're sticking right to the same footprint that exists. We are expanding the building, and we're not pushing the 30% really by any means.
Is that going to be a metal or an asphalt roof?
Probably asphalt.
You don't think you'd have any problems with snow accumulation up there?
No, I mean, the standard warranty on an asphalt roof, they don't want you to have anything less than a 312 pitch. And so, and if you do a 312 pitch, they ask for extra nailing.
Okay. I have no questions.
Okay. Everybody done with questions?
Ed?
Good, thank you.
Okay. Well, then,
I'll make a motion if the application is complete.
I'll
okay.
second.
All right, let's take, let's start here with
Approve.
George.
Approve?
Approve.
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 Okay, so we'll see you next time for a public hearing.
Yes.
And I neglected to assign people for the last one and for this one,
I'll take this one, Mr. Chairman.
so,
I can take the other one.
George? So you're volunteering for
77?
for the 77 Pier Road,
Sure.
Fairmont? Okay, well, then I'll take I think I did that the last time, but I will take the Trolley Museum.
I think I did that, didn't I?
I don't know, there were two.
Oh, that's right.
We're two.
Okay.
This is number 3, so without further
Up there. Thank you.
ado, here we have item 230, 504, 195 Log Cabin Road. And we have Sebago Techniques.
Good evening. How's everybody tonight?
Having fun.
Awesome. So yes, my name's Henry Hess. Here on behalf of the Seashore Trolley Museum. Back for their third installment here on their campus in the last couple of years here. They're looking to provide proposed improvements that include a 2,400 square foot garage building. And if I could make sure everything doesn't fall off the podium here. Excellent. So if I could orient you real quick. Let's see. Down here is their existing visitor center. Across the way, they did their initial expansion there in the field. This is the South Boston Car Barn in this area that they also recently redid.
Right.
And then so further back on that campus, again, this is Log Cabin Road way out here. So if you follow way further back, it's actually, the garage is going to be located back in this back corner here. So well into the campus, far away from Log Cabin Road there, just to orient you a little bit on the map. And now that we've done that, so that's a slightly more zoomed in there. You see that's the site plan and grading plan that we've rendered up for some clarity. But the garage itself is going to be used to house maintenance equipment for the Seashore Trolley Museum, keep things out of the elements throughout the winter months. We're proposing some revised improvements to the existing road there to make sure everything drains appropriately and continues on its existing drainage path as it does today. And a few improvements to the existing ditches adjacent to ensure that water continues to drain appropriately. The building itself will have a metal roof. We're actually proposing to tie in some of the drainage into that foundation drain that then outlets into that improved ditch before it continues along through the existing channels and out through the existing drainage pathways of the site.
There are no windows in this building?
Let me actually pull up the garage. I don't believe there are any windows in this building.
I didn't see it on the drawings.
Okay, so I brought some, but if you guys didn't have them, I have a few extras for you if you need to look at the building. But you're correct. I don't believe there are any windows on that building.
Yeah, we added 4, I think, 2x3 windows or 2x4, just in the corners, so if you're in the building, you can see if somebody's walking towards you. They'll be low, maybe,
Double hung,
window is 6 feet off the ground.
double hung with screens?
It's horizontal sliders, the screens.
Okay. What kind of soils are you putting that on? I didn't see anything about soils. You're talking about drainage.
Yep, the soils out there are fairly, well, as we found out in other locations, fairly soft, and we'll certainly be making sure we investigate some of the soils before putting that slab on there prior to final foundation design and installation. But typically out here in this site, the soil's been fairly soft.
Okay, you're putting in a concrete slab floor?
Mm-hmm. There won't be any water or sewer running to the site or to this garage, just power for lighting, interior.
You mentioned taking out trees as necessary. Are you going to be planning to take out any trees?
There will be a handful of trees that'll have to be cut down, as this area is currently a lay-down area for some trolley and track materials, and there are some trees just off to that existing road there.
Are you going to replace them elsewhere?
We don't have plans for really a landscape plan associated with this. It'll just be the removal of trees and most likely boulders and rocks in that area. The area is kind of notoriously a stockpile area on campus. So it is.
It's a what area?
Just a stockpile of materials in that area of the campus.
Well, I'm just thinking, you take out trees, you take out your water sinks, basically. And if you're saying your soils are soft, what happens when it gets saturated and you have a concrete floor in there and so forth?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of foundation you might need there. I don't know what kind of soils you really have in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't sound like they're wet enough to be scantic or anything like that.
I would venture again. I don't have a formal soils core of this particular area, but given the soils in other locations, the soils have been fairly clay-like or soft. This area is actually a little bit higher in elevation. Hopefully, we can get away from some of that. We are kind of at the drainage divide there as water comes down the road, and that we're going to navigate water or work to. I'll just go over here and we'll have this. So water does come down. There's an existing gravel road. We are pitching. We've got a drainage divide here to make sure water comes around the building and around here. There's existing drainage and existing ditching that goes through here and makes its way through culverts. A series of culverts that work their way throughout the site and actually eventually all the way down to that big fire pond area, which is closer down towards the visitor center, beyond the visitor center, south of the visitor center. And actually right now, this ditch is fairly narrow through here, and we're actually proposing to widen this out to allow that any runoff that would be coming from this building and the small amounts of impervious in front that get added actually have an area to be stored briefly before entering the existing drainage channel. So that's part of keeping the existing drainage for the area going and
You might
in an existing
consider
state.
a few trees that like wet soil near those ditches to help you accumulate that water so that you don't get it, accumulating around the garage.
I appreciate that, and we'll certainly consider it. I know there's I believe we've got some sod and seed mixes currently for the ditches to help with erosion control, but we'll certainly, we can consider some trees if that's necessary.
Those are the questions I had.
Okay.
I had again, it's just a building for maintenance equipment. It's not a garage in which maintenance is going to be done.
Correct. Yep, there won't be floor drains or anything like that, no hazardous materials, anything.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I just, I think maybe this, for Michelle or Werner, just to clarify, we're looking at this because this is a conditional use and it's a significant change to it, is that correct?
I believe we're over 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, I would say that that's correct.
That's what'll be in your planning memo.
It was in my planning memo. Gotta check
When,
it out.
when I read it, that's what I'll see. Okay. And what is our role here with respect to, Nina just asked a question about trees, and, in the course of doing this, maybe a tree has to be removed. Are there restrictions on the removal of trees?
No, there.
Okay, thank you.
I wasn't thinking so much on restrictions and removal of trees, but you're saying the soil is soft and you have drainage areas and so forth. I was thinking that replacing the trees and put in a couple of willows there and you'd get rid of your water problems. Pretty fast. So it would help, basically, to, in times of like June rains like we've had, to absorb some of that water.
I appreciate the input, Nina, thank you.
Okay, everybody good? Okay. Take a motion.
I'll move that the application is complete.
Second.
Okay,
I agree.
I agree.
agree,
Agree.
agree. Whichever, one of you. Okay, very good, so once again, we'll see you next meeting, the 5th
Look forward to it.
of July. Nina, if you would rather take this one, I'm thrilled, but. you would-
I'll take it,
You'll
it's
take
no
it.
problem.
Either one, okay.
Thank you very much for your
Yours
time.
much better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are now in the fabulous reading of FOFs
Yeah.
phase. So let us start with the one, number 7, item 7, 230401 Mills Road subdivision. And Mike, hit it.
All right, I think I have a final copy. Following a review pursuant to Kennebunkport subdivision regulations and land use ordinance, a public hearing held on June 7th, 2023. The Kennebunk Planning Board make the following findings of facts and conclusions and renders the following decision. The finding of facts are as follows. Owner of, is it Fang Farms?
Sounds like
LLC.
Snakes there.
Huh? Mailing address, 9 Union Park, Suite 1, Boston, Mass. 02118. The applicant is Michael Thaddeum Wienlet, P.E., Teradyne Consultants LLC, 565 Congress Street, Suite 201, Portland, Maine, 04101. In a letter dated 13 December 2022, the owner of record authorized the applicant to act as an agent in this matter. The property has a street address of 262 Mills Road, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. The property consists of a 75.4 acre parcel. The property has been identified as map 25, block 5, lot 8 on the municipal assessor's map. On behalf of the owner, the applicant demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a warranty deed for this property, which is recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 19136, page 371, on October 19th, 2022. The majority of the site is located in the Free Enterprise zoning district. The area within 500 feet of Mills Road is in the Goose Rocks district. The application was found complete on May 17th, 2023. The applicant proposes to divide the parcel into 13 lots, approximately 0.65 to 7.59 acres. The net residential area of the parcel is approximately 5.92 acres. And 54.79 acres will be preserved as open space. The total acreage of the parcel is 75.4 acres will be developed. The proposed lots meet the cluster zoning requirements of the land use ordinance and subdivision regulations. The lot will be served by individual subsurface water disposal fields and wells. Electrical and telecommunication services will be installed underground. The applicant proposes to deviate from the subdivision regulations in the following ways. A, the applicant proposed a waiver from section 12.2.B.3, lowercase b.4 in the wetland areas so that the side slopes of the wetlands crossing may be steeper than 3:1, horizontal to vertical. The applicant proposes a new road, Prospect Reserve Way, wherein the proposed design includes a 2:1 road slope in the area where the road crosses the wetland areas in order to minimize the area of impact. The applicant proposes that Prospect Reserve Way be approximately 1,650 feet in length and 24 feet in width, with a 3-foot esplanade and a 5-foot wide sidewalk. Section 12.2.B.2.H of the subdivision regulations limits the dead-end road to 1,000 feet and a cul-de-sac turnaround with specified limits for the radius. The board agrees to the 650-foot deviation from the design guidelines to minimize environmental impacts to the surrounding wetlands and sensitive habitats on the site. These waivers these waiver requests were reviewed by Acorn Engineering, Inc., see below, and found acceptable in a memorandum of February 23rd, 2023. The board grants these waivers for the reasons given above and on the basis of Acorn Engineering's recommendations and approval of the Kennebunk Fire Chief. Stormwater management report has been prepared and has been updated in response to the peer-reviewed comments by Acorn Engineering. Permits have been submitted to the Maine Department of Environmental Protection and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The Kennebunk Highway Department and application is waiting for the street opening permit. The applicant provided evidence of adequate technical and financial capacity. The applicant provided an estimate of total project costs at $978,530. The code enforcement officer agrees that the estimates covered the necessary elements of the project to be covered by the performance guaranteed required from the applicant per Article 13 of the subdivision regulations. Conclusion. The criteria of Title 30-A MRSA paragraph 4404 and the standards of the town subdivision regulations have been met and subject to the conditions enumerated below. Decision. In accordance with Articles 7, 8, 9 of the Town of Kennebunkport subdivision regulations and Title 30-A MRSA paragraph 4404 of the Planning Board grants approval of the applicant's final plan application. Conditions of approval. The approval must be recorded with the Registry of Deeds within 90 days of approval, or it becomes null and void unless an extension is granted by the board in writing. Approval of the application is dependent upon the applicant receiving all necessary state and/or federal permits prior to construction, including the MDTO road entrance permit. A copy of the permit must be filed with the Code Enforcement Office within a week of receipt. Prior to any permits being issued or any lots being sold, the applicant will execute and record right, title, and interest in the property through a deed or deeds recorded in the York County Register of Deeds. Prior to any permits being issued or any lots being sold, the applicant will post a performance guarantee that complies with Article 13 of the Kennebunkport subdivision regulations and is satisfactory to the town manager, and the amount of the guarantee will be based on the actual bids for construction. Final plans update shall include any lot line changes required for the final MDEP and/or Army Corps of Engineer approval, and any restriction shall be included in the final open space deed. The applicant will comply with all terms and conditions of the Town of Kennebunkport ordinance and subdivision regulations, and of all applicable federal, state regulations and approval, as well as those specified in the final application, all of which are incorporated herein by reference.
Okay.
That's it.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Mike, when you sent this out for us to look at and give you back comments, you had a sentence in there that I didn't understand, and I couldn't hear just now. I don't have a copy of the final, so I couldn't quite hear. On item 9 is what it was. There was a sentence in there that said, of the total acreage of the parcel, 75.4 acres will be developed. Did that sentence get struck?
Yeah, this is the final. And where did it say that? I see 9, but what was the line again?
The last sentence said, of the total acreage of the parcel, 75.4 acres will be developed.
That still is in this.
That's in this one.
But the entire parcel is 75.4 acres. And we just said in the sentence before it that 55 of it were going to be preserved as open space. It didn't seem right to say.
It's double dipping.
So that's what, to say that the entire lot would be developed.
So we should strike that line and initial it.
Well, that was what I proposed in my feedback.
Okay.
But
It must have gone, as I went through the various copies, I must have missed that one. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
so I would strike that line, and then I'd be
Easy enough
happy
to
with
do.
it.
Yeah.
signature one.
It's this line here.
And Tom, you know, I think I think we're doing within the limits of like the sunshine law. We do what we can, but without a copy of the updated one in front of us, it almost feels like we don't need to be here for this reading
And then
of the findings. This isn't,
sign.
it's not useful. Either that or we need to put in a practice where if you send in comments, that the person who receives them comes back to you and says, well, here's what I did with them. I reject this one, or I accept this one, or.
Yeah.
Somehow there's a handshake that's missing.
Well, and do we need to bring 7 copies of
I'd
of
be
the
happy with
FOF?
I'd be happy with the handshake at the comment level.
Yeah,
We normally do get a final copy that, you know,
Well, did we?
with people updating. I think Mike may not have.
Yeah,
No, I don't think Mike did it, I don't think Scott did it, I don't think we're doing it.
Yeah, so so the process is send it out, and again, I wasn't sure if it should go through the town or individual, you know, is there a set process in how that is done? Do I send it in to Michelle and Warner and they send it out through April, or do I just send it out to everybody and then?
you can send it out to everybody.
Just,
I was going to say, for the
April's
sake
got
of the
enough to
final,
do.
yeah, it's important that it makes its way out to April as well, just because she does do the formatting of it at the end. So I know that that's helpful for her, and I'm sure she can pass it along to the board once that's done.
Well, or when you send the final back to April and you say, this is it, I've incorporated all the comments, if you
then
CC'd
CC
everybody,
everybody?
Fine.
Okay.
then
Yeah.
April wouldn't have one more thing.
Yeah, that's
All
fine.
right, we could do that.
Yeah.
All right, okay,
That's not, that wouldn't
you.
be construed as a meeting.
No,
all right.
Right, you incorporated all the comments, not saying whose or what, so I would,
With Scott's,
Okay.
that's just a letter, and we don't normally send it out to the board. We just, after it's signed and everything, it goes to the board.
well, why is the board reviewing it then? If we don't send it out to the board after the comments have been incorporated?
the thing Scott just did,
Yeah,
because he doesn't understand the process on
I thought April sent it out to us.
Yeah,
She did.
She did, but that was because Scott couldn't send it out. And I was helping Scott with that, so we finished it off and just put the letter.
and normally we, normally it gets written after the meeting.
All right.
And at most Nina and I just bounce it
One
back
of
and
us-
forth.
Yeah, or one of us signs it and it goes out.
It doesn't need a
Okay,
board
so
review.
Larry?
No.
So is there do you have a written finding of facts? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so read from the written one, not from the one on your phone.
Yeah, I have the version on my phone.
All right, thank you.
I don't care what the version on your phone is, frankly.
Okay.
I also just want to point out, we have a set of plans over here as well that need an autograph. So
Okay.
before you all
Okay.
leave tonight, for Mills Road, if you could autograph that.
Special black pen or just regular?
Yeah, we got away from the black pen. I'd just say,
Any-
let's just use the same pen. And make sure you sign in the same line on both pages.
Did you
And you've
provide a
got,
pen?
you have a pen that's going to be
Yeah, we got
there?
one in the box.
Okay.
And I have a question for you. This is not a great rendition of the zones, but I see Cape Porpoise Square is a little tiny place way up there and not down where
Well,
Luccarelli is.
Part of the problem with that is that map, so has all the layers turned on. And so you have the shoreland zone layer that's turned on over that. And so if you were to just do a zone map without those overlays, then you would see that.
This is the problem that I've brought up before, in that we don't have a good map for people to use that shows those zones clearly.
So so the base zoning map is available on the town website.
The GIS.
Correct, yeah,
Yes.
that and so also just to clarify for folks, when you see the letters DZ, what that actually stands for is it stands for dual zone, right? It's an indicator for us that that a lot is split by 2 zoning boundaries, so. So in the applicant's defense, they pulled that off the tax card.
It would be nice on the
but-
GIS maps if those zones were labeled.
Yeah, well, I mean, the GIS maps are not, they're not static maps with labeling. Uh, You know, so you typically find labeling, it is labeled in the legend. And so, you know, if you look at the legend, whenever you turn on the zone layers, the colors all correspond to a legend that's on the GIS maps.
I haven't found that.
Or if you hit the,
I was gonna say, I can show you that, Nina.
Yeah.
I'm happy to show you that.
yeah, we can do a tutorial for folks if that would be helpful.
Warner, is the definition of the zones, not the shoreland zone and ERP, but the underlying zones, isn't that incorporated into the ordinance?
Yeah,
It doesn't say refer to the map. It
No.
says
Correct.
this
No.
street is in and this street is out, and it
right.
goes,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's, I think, the legal definition, and then the maps are a reflection of that.
That's correct. They're a reflection of that, you know, the legal description of the zones. Yep,
The legal description's right in the LUO.
Yeah.
yep.
That was my
Yeah.
understanding.
Okay.
So are we on to finding of facts now?
Please.
Okay.
We're not done with that?
You're not done yet?
It's fascinating, but, you know,
You could have been reading this whole time.
I was rehearsing. That's right.
Oh.
I was going through it.
Well, while you're reading that, I'm gonna go up and sign the map.
Okay, so this is Kennebunkport Planning Board finding of fact and decision, application of the Kennebunk River Architects for 803 Kings Highway. Following site plan reviews pursuant to the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance held on 17th of May, 2023, 7th of June, 2023, and 21st of June, 2023, and a public hearing held on the 7th of June, 2023, and the 21st of June, 2023, the Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings of fact and conclusions and renders the following decisions subject to the conditions enumerated below. Findings of fact are as follows. 1, the owner of record is John Gallant with mailing address of 803 Kings Highway, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. 2, the applicant is Michael Bedell, Kennebunk River Architects with mailing address of 1662 Post Road, Suite B6, Wells, Maine, 04090. 3, in an email dated April 19th, 2023, owner of record authorized the applicant to act as agent in this matter. 4, the property has a street address of 803 Kings Highway, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. 5, the property is identified as map 34, block 1, lot 12 on the municipal tax assessor's maps. 6, the property is located in the Goose, Rocks, and Shoreland Protection Zones. On behalf of owner, the applicant demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a warranty deed for the property recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 8413, pages 198, 199, on August 29th, 1997. 8, the applicant has requested the required MDEP permit by rule for the work. 9, the property comprises approximately 0.23 acres, which is 10,045 square feet per information provided by the applicant, and is therefore non-conforming since it is less than 40,000 square feet. Additionally, the shore frontage length is 47.18 feet and is therefore non-conforming since it's less than 150 feet. 10, the existing residential property consists of one building which does not conform to setback distances. 11, in an application dated June 14th, 2023, the applicant proposes to demolish the existing residence and rebuild a new single residential structure. The new single residential structure will be located entirely within the 250-foot shoreland setback dimension. Under Section 8.3.B.1, expansion of nonconforming structures of the Land Use Ordinance, applicant proposes to expand both volume and interior square footage areas of the new residential structure, while also slightly reducing overall lot coverage. The proposed expanded area and volume both remain within the maximum allowable expansions of 30% each. 12, the total existing interior surface area of the existing buildings is 1,736 square feet. The proposed interior surface area will be 1,992 square feet, an increase of 14%. 13, the total existing interior volume is 17,201 cubic feet, and the proposed interior volume will be 21,673 cubic feet, an increase of 26.0%. 14, the existing lot coverage is 16.38%. The proposed lot coverage will decrease slightly to 16.17%. 15, the property will be connected to public sewer and to public water supply. 16, applicant requested no submission or performance waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance. 17, because the property is entirely within the shoreline zone, owner agrees to avoid use of synthetic/artificial fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides on lawns and to maintain provisions intended to minimize bird strikes on windows. 18, pursuant to the requirements of Article 10.10.a of the Land Use Ordinance Guidelines for Decisions, the Planning Board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes a negative ruling on one or more of the following identified findings which would otherwise compel denial. A, the proposed use meets the definition or specific requirements set forth in the Land Use Ordinance and will be in compliance with applicable state or federal law, finding yes. B, the proposed use will not create fire safety hazards and will provide adequate access to the site or to the buildings on the site for emergency vehicles, finding yes. C, the proposed exterior lighting will not create hazards to motorists traveling on adjacent public streets and is adequate for the safety of occupants or users of the site and will not damage the value and diminish the usability of adjacent properties, finding yes. D, the provisions for buffers and on-site landscaping provide for adequate protection to neighboring properties from detrimental features of the development, finding yes. E, the proposed use will not have a significant detrimental effect on the use and peaceful enjoyment of abutting property as a result of noise, vibrations, fumes, odor, dust, glare, or other cause, finding yes. F, the provisions for vehicular loading and unloading and parking and for vehicular and pedestrian circulation on the site and onto adjacent public streets will not create hazards to safety, finding yes. G, the proposed use will not have a significant detrimental effect on the value of adjacent properties which could be avoided by a reasonable modification of the plan, finding yes. Comment, the architectural style of the proposed new two-story house and attached decks compares well to others in the immediate neighborhood. H, the design of the site will not result in significant flood hazards or flood damage and is in conformance with applicable flood hazard protection requirements, finding yes. I, adequate provision has been made for disposal of wastewater or solid waste and for the prevention of ground or surface water contamination, finding yes. Comments on the public sewer. J, adequate provision is made to control erosion or sedimentation. Yes, erosion control measures will be provided in due course as part of building permit process. K, adequate provision has been made to handle stormwater runoff or other drainage problems on the site, finding yes. L, the proposed water supply will meet the demands of the proposed use or for fire protection purposes, finding yes. Comment is on the public water supply. M, adequate provision has been made for the transportation, storage, and disposal of hazardous substances and materials as defined by state law, finding not applicable. N, the proposed use will not have an adverse impact on significant scenic vistas or on significant wildlife habitat, which could be avoided by a reasonable modification of the plan, finding yes. Comment, the owner agrees to maintain provision which minimize bird strikes on the windows. O, the proposed use will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion, finding yes. P, existing off-site ways and traffic facilities can safely and conveniently accommodate the increased traffic generated by the development as far away from the development as the effects of the development can be traced with reasonable accuracy, finding not applicable. When a proposed development is located within the shoreland or resource protection zone, and in addition to the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance, Article 10, the townwide regulations in Article 6, the performance standards for specific activities and land uses in Article 7, approval of the development will also require that the board makes positive findings based on information presented that the proposed use, A, will maintain safe and healthful conditions, finding yes. Will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters, finding yes. Comment, owner agreed to avoid use of synthetic artificial pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers on the property. C, will adequately provide for the disposal of all wastewater, finding yes. D, will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat, finding yes. Comment, because the property is in an area of significant bird activity, owner has agreed to incorporate measures to reduce bird strikes in the new design. All exterior windows shall utilize such measures like, for example, exterior screens, bird-proof glass, etchings, visual striping, etc. E, will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waterways, finding yes. F, will protect archaeological and historical resources as designated in the comprehensive plan, finding not applicable. G, will avoid problems associated with the floodplain development and use, finding yes. H, is in conformance with the performance standards set forth in section 5.6, erosion and sedimentation control of the Kennebunkport land use ordinance, finding yes. Any negative finding by the board means the application has been denied. The application is otherwise complete. Conclusion. Article 10.10.a of the Land Use Ordinance mandates that the planning board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes one or more identified findings that would otherwise compel denial, and as noted above, the board makes no such findings. Decision, the site plan application identified above is hereby approved. Conditions of approval, if any, pursuant to Article 10.11 and 10.12.e. 1, the applicant pursuant to 10.12.e shall notify the planning board prior to the transfer of rights to construct an approved project. 2, final approval from the Maine Division of Environmental Protection, that's MDEP, must be provided before a building permit can be issued for the project. 3, final approval from the town of Kennebunkport for erosion control provisions must be provided before a building permit can be issued for the project. 4, the applicant must record a copy of this decision and provide proof of such recordation in the New York County Registry of Deeds before any permit may issue or before any construction activity may commence. 5, the applicant shall comply with all terms and conditions of the town of Kennebunkport ordinance as well as the Maine DEP approvals dated the 21st of June, 2023.
You forgot Mike.
I forgot, oh, Mike's not on here, okay, we'll put him on, we'll put him on the bottom here.
Okay. I would like to move approval of the 2 findings of fact as read, because I don't think we approved Mike's either.
Oh, okay. I'll second that.
Approve.
Agreed?
Approve.
Approve?
Whatever. One of you approves.
I don't approve, Mike approves.
Then I approve.
Okay, good.
I'd like to make another motion,
Oh,
Mr. Chairman. I'd like a motion that we adjourn.
Well, I better second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay.
I'm just adding,
We're done. Thank you, guys.
I'm just adding Mike's name here.
We need.
Sorry.